Welcome in. It's position ranking time. This time we're looking at the top 15 edge defenders in the draft per the PFF draft board. Of course, ProFootballFocus.com has the entire draft board, our top 250. But let's get into our top 15 edge defenders. It's important to discuss tiers. We'll get into that in a moment. But number one, Mike, Nick Bosa from Ohio State. Slam dunk for us.
Yeah, pretty clear-cut number one. I think everyone's agreed upon that. Mostly at this point, just from an on-field production standpoint. Elite level production. Doesn't have the high-end athleticism off the line of scrimmage, but very good flexibility. Great three-cone time for his size. I think he's a pretty safe projection to the next level.
Essentially 2+ years of excellent production from Bosa. When we go to number two, Josh Allen in Kentucky. With Bosa out this year, he had the highest pass rush grade in the entire nation. I do love his coverage ability, his athleticism, but when he rushed the passer at Kentucky, extremely efficient.
Yeah, like you said, highest pass rushing grade in the nation, second highest win rate in the nation, highest among Power 5 defenders. Took a huge step forward from 2017, gained about 20 pounds of muscle, was a completely different player than we saw in years past. Still has some ways to go in terms of pass rushing moves, lacks an inside counter, he'll have to do that. But in terms of converting speed to power, bull rush, his outside move, I mean, he's very adept at both those, and his athleticism off the charts.
We have both of these guys more as top 10 type of players.
Top
a few
five
more.
type of
top
players.
five, top five. We get to more of the middle of the first round. We're talking Brian Burns, a guy that really broke out this year, led all edge defenders in pressures during the regular season. Florida State didn't make a bowl. But, you know, that's a name where we feel pretty good about him at 3.
Yeah, he was in a similar boat to Allen in terms of he gained about 10 to 15 pounds this past year, and it showed up in the grading. He graded out by far his best season, led the nation in pressures during the regular season. A lot to like about him. Run defense might be a little bit of an issue, still a little undersized, but the way he's developed the course of his career, similar to Josh Allen, you like him going forward.
All right, let's discuss the other interesting names here, because Chase Winovich is the first Michigan edge defender to come off the edge board here. Rashawn Gary is down at number 8. Montez Sweat is down at number 7. And just so people know, from a tier standpoint, we cut this off first round right about here. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Or did we go
one more up?
Okay, I'm sorry. Right around here. It's Winovich. So we put Farrell, Zach Allen. There we go. Perfect. Winovich is our last first round player. Let's discuss Winovich versus Gary with a little bit of Sweat mixed in.
Well, Winovich, I think, doesn't get enough credit for his athleticism in his own right. He had a fantastic sub-7 3-cone at 256 pounds, a sub-1.6 get-off, 10-yard time there at, like I said, 256 pounds, and already extremely productive on the football field, 90-plus grades overall the past 2 seasons. So elite production, elite athleticism. What more is there to ask for? I think he's a first-rounder.
And we have to reiterate, of all the PFF grades, you know, we feel strongly about some positions versus others. This is one where we feel as strong as any. Our pass rush grades have really translated at the next level. Of course, there's some sort of baseline of size and athleticism that goes into it. But if they tick those boxes, if the players tick those boxes, the guys that grade well in college generally have the best chance of success at the NFL level, which is why we've got Winovich up here, Rashawn Gary down here. His highest overall grade was about 80 in his career. That is a huge red flag. We've talked about this quite a bit. Montez Sweat, a better player, better against the run, but even his pass rush potential with all of his athleticism, there's a big question mark.
Yeah, he's just a little stiff, and especially does not look fluid. There's a reason why pretty much everyone has still Josh Allen above Montez Sweat, besides the fact that Montez Sweat was tested so much better athletically. Is this freak of nature in terms of he's the ideal specimen for the position, yet people still aren't giving him, you know, number 1, number 2, number 3 overall type of hype. It's because the on-field wasn't quite there yet. And 4 years in college, whereas, you know, Bosa's only a junior, it's just for 4 years in college to not be quite there yet, I think there's concerns with me that he's ever going to put it all together and live up to what his athletic potential is.
And when we talk about not producing, I know Sweat had 22, 23 sacks over the last couple of years. We're talking snap for snap, winning at a high enough rate. He didn't win nearly as much as some of these other guys when it comes to pure pass rush.
Yeah, and the interesting comp here is Zach Allen and Montez Sweat. I feel comfortable about both of them being fairly solid run defenders at the next level. Montez Sweat had his pass rushing grade in a very favorable role. He was coming in a heavy rotation, didn't even play 500 snaps this past season, and so basically was coming on obvious pass situations, so he should have been more productive than that total. Zach Allen didn't come off the field. He played over 100 snaps in a game, and for him to grade out higher, never coming off the field, knowing he had to do it every single down, to me that seems when he is in a more limited role, when he does get to take some plays off and go to the sideline, he'll be more productive at the next.
And Allen was one of just the best pure run defenders among all the edges in the class. He really upped his pass rush game this year. Let's fly through just quick notes on each of these guys. Cleveland Farrell at one point was getting top 10 hype. We still see him as a late first, early second type of player. Similar to these guys, just a solid player who maybe could develop as a pass rusher.
Yeah, I think he's going to be solid against the run. Very good with his hands, already a strong player, but I just don't see exceptional athleticism. I don't see a lot of high-end pass rushing traits from him. I think you're getting a good pro, not anything special in Cleveland.
Anthony Nelson here at 9, bull rush specialist, has some power, tested a little bit better maybe than we expected. I think I always say the Bill Belichick disciples are going to love him, a guy that can really set the edge, compress the pocket a little bit. Talk to me about these TCU guys. We've got LJ Collier, Ben Banigou, both from TCU in our top 15.
Yeah, very different players. Banigou, more pure edge with athleticism, wins with that, does not have a lot of pass rushing moves. LJ Collier, more versatile in terms of can play on the edge, can kick inside. His bull rush is already fantastic, already has a few pass rushing moves. And we talked to Banigou, and they said they didn't really teach pass rushing. It was scheme there. So these guys might be, have some room to develop in that regard.
The two other names I think you need to know right here, Ronheen Bingham and Max Crosby. If you're looking at PFF sleeper types that have really produced at the college level, Bingham, one of the highest pass rush grades over the last couple of years. Max Crosby, one of the best overall grades over the last couple of years when you talk about playing the run and rushing the pass.
Yeah, I mentioned Josh Allen second nationwide in terms of win rate. It was Ronheen that led the nation in terms of pass rushing win rate this past season. The best spin move in this draft class. It's close between him and Brian Burns. Burns got to go in his own right, but he won with it time after time after time, beat Jonah Williams with it this past season in that Alabama game. So a lot to like from him. Undersized, maybe a designated pass rusher, only third down guy early in his career, but can develop into a full-time starter. And then Crosby, I mean, he is as athletic as it gets at the position. We saw high-level production. Again, 2 years of production, somewhat similar to Winovich. It was against lesser competition, so that is a little bit not in his favor, but I still think what we saw from him is worth a day 2 type of pick.
Let's wrap it up with Charles Omenihu, who's got some size and length to maybe move along the defensive line. And then Ja'Kai Polite, the other guy that we need to discuss. Man, at one point we thought he might be up here. The pro day, the combine, they weren't great, and we don't always focus on that, but it was a really bad job interview for Ja'Kai.
Yes. Size does matter on the edge. You have to be 240 plus pounds at least to play in the NFL, and then if you want to play the run in the NFL, you better be above 250. Ja'Kai Polite, when he did get to that weight, just was not athletic. He could not put on that weight and stay at the elite level of athleticism that we thought we saw on tape at Florida, but he probably played at Florida around the 230 range.
Right.
In that range, and at that point, you're just not going to win in the NFL, beat up on a lot of bad tackles. So playing light, beating up bad tackles in college, just from what we've seen in our grading, not necessarily the thing that you want that will translate to the next level.
So there you have it. It's your PFF Edge Defender rankings. Of course, if you want full statistical breakdowns on all these guys, it's all in your PFF Draft Guide, all a part of your PFF Edge or Elite package.